Welcome you to the Metro Council. Today is Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. Will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation tonight is brought to us by me. Okay. Please bow your heads. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, y'all may be seated. The banger of the gavel tonight, many of you know him, Trent Benge, who is a senior high school student, has a vested interest in political science and civic engagement, and Trent and I have seen each other many times over the last couple of months. Trent actually testified on behalf of this council in terms of trying to stop the bill. Okay? So we very much appreciate him being here. Thank you. Okay. And I offered to let him run the meeting, but he turned me down. All right, without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. Pursuant to Section 3.04 of the Metropolitan Charter, as the Vice Mayor of Nashville and Davidson County, I have called the council together in this special meeting of the Metropolitan Council to consider any resolutions, amendments, and substitutes filed for consideration that address the provisions of the language of the enacted House Bill 48, Senate Bill 87, coming out of the Tennessee State Legislature, is now formally known as Chapter 21 of the Public Acts of 2023. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Sawara. You're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for the opportunity. I just want to say that today is the first day of Ramadan, and I want to wish all our Muslim constituents in Nashville and Muslims around the world a very happy Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak.
Okay. Now, I've got people sitting in the queue already. Okay. We haven't even gotten anything yet. All right. Previous. Not yet. All right. So we have one resolution, and I believe we have 4 substitutes and 2 late file substitutes to consider tonight. We are now ready for resolutions. The first resolution up is RS. Councilmember Murphy, before I get started. Oh, okay. I'm not touching it. Okay. RS 2023-2062 by Council Members Johnston, Van Rees, Vercher, and others. It's a resolution directing the Metropolitan Planning Department to prepare a council redistricting plan consisting of 17 district council members and 3 council members at large to comply with state law, requesting the Metropolitan Planning Commission to hold the necessary meetings to approve the redistricting plan, and requesting the Vice Mayor to call any special council meetings that may be required to effectuate the redistricting plan. That's the resolution. It is RS 2023-2062. Councilmember Johnston, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Withers, Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Committee moved a motion to defer action on the item until our regularly scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April the 4th, as well as to hold a public hearing on the matter at that meeting. That motion for deferral was recommended for approval. 10 in favor, 2 against, 0 not voting.
Okay. All right. So the motion was to, what you approved in Planning and Zoning was a defer action on the resolution until April the 4th and hold a public hearing on April the 4th. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Back to you, Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. Can I get an opinion from Director Darby on if that one meeting deferral attached to a public hearing constitutes an automatic deferral, or can we discuss this on the floor?
Ms. Darby?
No, I don't think it constitutes an automatic deferral. I think that you would need to have the votes on the floor for those. They have 2 different vote thresholds for that motion that was, or the recommendation that came from the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. I'd first like to get some guidance from Director Dietz, who is dealing with a lawsuit, and sure lots of eyes are watching what this body is doing it and how we're proceeding on the implications of deferral. And then also from Director Kemp, who is in charge of her own process and how that would go. So I'd like to can we go to Director Dietz?
Mr. Dietz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you, Council Member, for the question. So this is our third meeting on this in 7 days. This council is acting in good faith. The Planning Commission is acting in good faith. I think it's important that we continue to do that. I have said repeatedly in these meetings that the statute does not mandate that this council do anything before the Planning Commission approves a map. So whether or not this council decides tonight to give specific directions to the Planning Commission is a matter of discretion for this body. And there are certain things that I would recommend against in terms of being actions of bad faith, where we are not acting in good faith to implement the law. I do not view this deferral motion that was approved in committee as being in bad faith. So I believe it's a matter for the discretion of this council.
Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. And I just would like to hear something definitive from Director Kemp from her perspective when she is on a timeline and is expecting to release at least one map Friday or Saturday for public engagement, if this deferral helps, hurts, or is indifferent.
Ms. Kemp.
Thank you. Many of you have said that we don't have enough time to do this process well, and I can't disagree with you. But we have a law that we're responding to, and however imperfect the public engagement timing is, it's of value to us to get public feedback on a draft that we bring before you. And so I would far prefer releasing a map or maps on Friday or Saturday of this week and get a week of public feedback than wait until April 4th, which is why I've let the body know that that would be my intention in the event that we didn't get any feedback from you. What I would say is any decision from this body or a draft from the Planning Commission should be a draft for public feedback. It doesn't bind you to a decision that you might make on April 4th or after that subsequently when you have had other opportunities for deliberation. So this for me really is a gut check to say that we want to have options and we want to make sure that we have listened to the best of our ability. And if I wait until April 4th, then I won't be able to meet that standard. And I want to be able to look every member of the public and you in the eye and say, I did everything I can to give as much opportunity for public input as possible, however imperfect it is under the law. So that's what I would offer.
Okay, so to be clear, if we were to give guidance tonight on one map, two maps, maybe even three maps, and it goes to the public, it comes to us, we're able to look and see exactly where those lines are, which to me is helpful because when you say 15 districts, well, I don't know where that would even start. I can't comprehend that. I can't comprehend what 17 districts would look like, so I think it's helpful to have that. So if we started with 1, 2, or 3 maps, possibly at the direction of this body, by April the 4th or whenever, we could say, none of this works, or we can always change our mind before that. Is that correct? To take that feedback and go back to the drawing board type thing. This isn't, we're not married to it, as Councilman Young said earlier.
Pregnant, married, yes.
Whatever.
Our preference, as I said yesterday, from a pure public engagement and getting a productive conversation with the public is certainly to have one map. I think I can appreciate why you might want two. And so we can absolutely create that map and absolutely have public discussion. What I caution you about is there was a scenario where we were looking at 7 or 8 different versions. I just thought that would be onerous. And I feel a responsibility to the public to give them information and data that they can analyze and give us meaningful input on so that we can make adjustments that reflect that. If the body doesn't sort of give us that guidance and I don't have a basis from this body, then I would rely on the staff analysis that you've all heard, and I would use that staff analysis to give me sort of the best judgment that we have and the time that we have to release a map or maps under that scenario. I'll say it again. It is, of course, my preference to receive guidance from this body. Of course, that is a basis that I would prefer to have, and to receive it in a way that gives me time to talk to our community about it. Again, however imperfectly that amount of time is, I would far rather weigh that we tried and we listened than me say, well, I'm not going to act and I'm not going to create any opportunity for the public to give feedback before we need to go to the Planning Commission as required by the law.
Thank you. So I think moving forward, we have had a lot of discussion about it. I know we could talk about it for a lot longer, but I think there are certain options that have been presented that I think we could probably say that's not the best path forward. And I think I would prefer personally for this body to be on the same page with planning as we present something to the public, whether it's 1 map, 2 maps, or 3 maps, knowing that we can go back to the drawing board after we get that feedback. But I don't want you guys to have to be out there on your own based off of no input from anyone except for the data that I know Mr. Claxton has worked really hard on in his team. So I would encourage everyone to think about the discussion that we've had around the super districts. I think that's probably not something that is plausible at this point. I think it's also probably reasonable to say that no at-large, an option of no at-large is probably not reasonable at this time. And so at least 2 maps of 15 and 5 and 17 and 3 is reasonable.
So, yeah, we were going to let Councilmember Johnston finish, and then I was going to ask what you want to do with your resolution.
So, I guess we need to hear all of the different amendments.
So, do you want to move
approval.
So you're going to move your resolution.
Yes.
Properly seconded. Okay. So you're now on your resolution. So we're on resolution RS 2023-2062, properly seconded. Now, Councilmember Johnston, there are, I know, at least 4 substitutes and 2 late file substitutes. So is your preference to go through those substitutes?
Is it appropriate to put everything out there and look at the late files to get that into the discussion first? And I don't know. Or we can take it in order. I really don't have a preference.
Well, so there are 4 that were properly filed on time. There are 2 late filed. We would have to suspend the rules to do that. Part of I think the discussion tonight is whether this body, and I know there was a very good conversation in planning and zoning, but does this body want to go through each of those tonight and at least discuss them without necessarily having to vote on them, and then come back and then try to determine what this body wants to do? We're obviously functioning off of your resolution, but we can do what the body wants to do.
So I don't know the best. This is really difficult. I don't know the best way to move forward. I think there's some.
First of all, Councilmember Murphy, you need to be on the record. Okay, there you go.
The council lady has made the motion. We are waiting for committee reports and then asking her so we have committee reports, but asking her what her opinion is of what the body wants. We need to move forward with other people making motions and other people speaking. I think going through this back and forth we're a body of 39.
I agree. I'm not trying to, it's like, I don't know what the body wants to do. Do we want to take up every single amendment? And
so, Councilmember Johnston, you can bring up any of the substitutes that you want if you'd like to do that.
So if you want to go through the substitutes, you can call them up one at a time, and then I'd go to the
Okay,
the maker of the
I'll start with substitute A, and I would move that substitute, please.
All right, so I'm going to substitute A. Make sure I've got them all in order. Councilmember Mendez, point of order. Whoop, sorry. Councilmember Mendez.
So this is a procedure question for either the Vice Mayor, Ms. Darby. Like obviously the committee had a 10-2 vote in favor of deferral, and so there's a substantial number of people in the room that want to get to deferral, and so now we're on a substitute, and I know one option is somebody could move to table the substitute and then maybe move to defer the whole thing. Is there, for the substantial part of the room that wants to move to deferral, what's the best procedural way to go?
A motion to defer will take priority over any other motion on the floor, over the current motion.
Okay.
And it can be made at any time by any member of the body.
And then
No, hold on.
the rest of the, so the committee also voted to set a public hearing. If there's a motion to defer that supersedes the motion on the substitute, how do we address, what's the proper procedure to address seeking the public hearing?
You could either, a member could get recognition and make a motion for the public hearing first, or make a motion to defer.
Okay. I did point of order, so I won't make a motion, just ask the procedural question. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Connell, point of order. Hold on. You should be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just, again, trying to follow how we're doing this procedurally, coming out of a committee meeting prior to this, where this resolution was deferred in committee, and we don't have committee reports yet and are moving on to substitute. So ordinarily, I feel like when we've got a motion to defer out of committee, then it hits the floor and gets deferred, and we don't usually consider everything without the committee recommendation. So are we going to do committee reports here?
Handle this one. So we did committee reports.
All right, so the committee report then...
So you need to ask the question to Ms. Darby as to why we're proceeding ahead.
Okay, that's the question. Thank you.
There you go.
There's been a committee report. The committee report was a motion to defer and have a public hearing on April 4th. At this point, a member of the body can seek recognition and make a motion for the public hearing, or a member of the body can make a motion to defer. Both of those would require seconds. They must be made separately because they have separate vote thresholds.
And I know we've just changed the rules around committee deferral, but does it not then prompt, does the committee action not prompt an automatic deferral?
I don't think that would apply here because the motion was to defer and have a public hearing on the 4th. We can't automatically defer the matter and have a motion to have the public hearing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Councilmember Murphy.
I wanted to clarify that I think we have gone out of order, but it sounds like if we are going to Councilman from the East next, then I think we will be getting back in order, but taking simultaneous motions from the sponsor of the ordinance is not the proper order that we follow. So I will yield my time to Councilman Parker.
You can't do that. This is a point of order.
Then I'm done with my point of order that we are back on track.
We are back to Councilmember Johnston, who has the floor. Okay. Councilmember Johnston has the floor on her motion. All right. So, Councilmember Johnston, you're recognized.
I've got no idea what to do at this point. I don't know what to do.
So you're on a motion to approve your resolution and there are substitutes that come up. And what we traditionally do is actually deal with the substitutes.
So I made the motion to move the substitute.
Okay, so you have the first substitute, which is substitute resolution A, which is a resolution that actually changes the number to 15 district council members and 5 at large. This was put in by Councilmember Pulley, Councilmember Van Rees, and Councilmember Johnston. Now, so if you want to be heard on that, then you should raise your hand. That's where we are at this point. I know there are people who are trying to get in touch so they can defer the whole thing, but we are on a resolution and with substitutes. It's got to be a point of order, Councilmember Porterfield. It's got to be a point of order.
Point of order. Why are we raising our hands when we're already in the queue? We just need clarification on the procedure back here.
I thought you had a point of order.
That is the point. I have a procedural question. You said we need to raise our hands to be recognized. We are in the queue to be recognized. The procedural question is, are we raising hands or are we going by the queue?
No, so we're going by the queue.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, okay. I thought we had okay, so we have the substitute resolution, which is substitute A. And that one was done by Councilmember Pulley, Van Rees, and Johnston. It's actually Councilmember Pulley's it's a substitute. And so if you want to move that one, then you stand up and then I take a second. It's been moved. We just need a second. So Councilmember Pulley, will you second? Okay. So we're on substitute resolution A. Okay. Now we're on discussion about that. Anybody want to be heard on that? I'm going to come to you in just a minute. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be heard on this resolution, you can be heard. Okay? Okay. So Councilmember Pulley, you're up first, and then I will, because I've got a bunch of people in the queue, and Councilmember Parker is first, then I'm going to go to him after discussion about the resolution. Okay? Councilmember Pulley, you're recognized.
So is it appropriate, as a matter of question, just a procedural question, is it appropriate during the discussion of this substitute to make a deferral motion for the whole entire resolution?
You certainly can. I think one's getting ready to come, or you can do it.
Well, I mean, I might as well just do it because everybody, I'll take care of this unless you want the floor. I think we all know what's coming, so I'll just make that motion. I'd like to move deferral to April 4th of the entire bill, the entire resolution. And I would also like to add a motion for a public hearing on April 4th with a brief discussion.
So we have to split the motions.
Oh, they have to be separate. I'll move for deferral and I'll let somebody else make the public hearing.
Well, so here's the problem. We need to do it in reverse order. Okay, so if you don't mind taking back your motion.
Withdraw my motion.
And move, what you want to do is, we need a motion on the public hearing because if the deferral motion passes, we're out of here and that's it. So if you want a public hearing for April the 4th, pursuant to rule, it requires a 2/3 vote and we just have to set that.
So procedurally, your suggestion is that I make the public hearing motion first. All right.
Right.
Okay. Well, because so many people want that.
So if we're having a public hearing, are we having a public hearing on how many districts, or are we having a public hearing on a map? Because if it's on the number of districts, I don't know that people, it's hard to conceptualize that. Is it on the map?
Public hearing would be on the resolution.
It's on the whole resolution.
Yeah, it's on the resolution.
It would be on the resolution.
It's on the resolution that doesn't have maps attached to it. So that's what I don't understand when people come to talk about it. They don't have anything to look at.
All right, so hold on. We know this is complicated. Okay, so it would be on the resolution. What I understand is that the planning department is going to be drawing maps anyway, so they'll be here. And people can talk about it at the public hearing. Which ones?
Right, that's what my point is. Which ones are they going to be
Okay,
here?
well, it's still a point of order. So the problem is the motion is not going to include any information directing the planning department as to what to do. So it's a motion, for the first motion, we're on a motion with a second to have a public hearing on Tuesday, April the 4th at a regularly scheduled meeting. That's the motion, properly seconded. Discussion on that motion. Now, I've got people in the queue. If you want to be heard on this motion, raise your hand. Okay, so Councilmember Cash, you're first.
Thanks. In my view, the purpose of the public hearing is to help us decide. We haven't gotten much feedback on 20-0, 17-3, 16-4, 15-5. We need feedback on that. And I think having a public hearing for this resolution that offers those different options is at least what I would like out of a public hearing for this resolution. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Sledge oh, there you go. Okay. Councilmember Sledge.
Previous question.
All right. Councilmember Sledge has called the previous question. We're not voting on the public hearing, but we're just voting on whether we want to vote. All those in favor of the public hearing say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
On the previous question?
It was the previous question.
You did, you said
We're voting on, I thought I said I was voting on the previous question, not on the public hearing. Okay, well, let's try it again. All right, we're just voting on the previous question, not on the public hearing. All right, all those in favor of the previous question say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, now we're voting on whether to have a public hearing on Tuesday, April the 4th. Okay, roll call requested, so we're on the board. Mr. Clerk? Ready? All right. Mr. Clerk, we are voting on a motion to hold a public hearing on April 4th, 2023. Requires by rule a 2/3 vote. All right. Mr. Clerk, open up the machines. What it is. The machines are open. It has to be a very.
You said 2/3. Is it 2/3 of those present or 2/3 of the whole body?
Ms. Darby says 2/3 of those members who are present. In. Okay. Mr. Clerk, take the votes. Close the machine. Ayes 36, noes 1. So there will be a public hearing set for Tuesday, April 4th, at a regularly scheduled meeting. Now, Councilmember Pulley, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I move to defer the entire resolution to the April 4th meeting.
Okay. So I got a motion and a second. Okay, discussion on that. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you. I think maybe we just want to ask planning one more time to tell us if we have not given them any direction. What we've heard you say is you will work from what your staff has done research on. So my request is, if we're going to have a public hearing, I think the public will need to have something to look at. Will you be able, would you intend to proceed with some maps and public engagement next week, and then we will build on that with a public hearing where people will be able to say, I saw these maps, whatever you decide to build, because we didn't give you any guidance on that.
Yes, it would be our goal to prepare a map or potentially maps that reflect the best advice from the analysis the department has prepared if we didn't receive any other guidance here, and take public comment on that. I think I'm hearing from your question that you think the public, when it comes to the hearing on the 4th or 5th, I don't want to mess anything up. The 4th.
On the 4th.
That they will have had maps to look at. And so I want to do anything I can to support this body and to support the citizens. So if that's helpful, and given the timing that we're under, then yes, we will fulfill that obligation, however uncomfortable it is.
Councilmember Hauser.
I want to make sure that I've heard correctly. Are you saying you'll prepare one map so the public has one choice, or will there be multiple maps so the public can say, I like this or I like that?
So I'm trying not to get in front of you. I don't understand the procedures of council, so I'm waiting to see where you land. So if this body lands on a deferral and I don't have anything else, then I would anticipate releasing at a minimum a map of 15 and 5, because as has been presented to this body, that has the broadest pathway to meeting all of the criteria that we need to meet. I've heard some discussion about other district configurations in the planning and zoning meeting earlier. I don't want to be in a position of arbitrarily picking between you if you haven't kind of reached a consensus, and that's the spot that I'm in. I would be very open to preparing 2 maps. I would be very open even to doing 3, although that's not a preference. Really, the preference is to keep it manageable from a public engagement perspective. As a planning official, I don't want to pick between, there's a lot unresolved here. And if you defer really quickly and don't resolve, then I don't know the alternative that I would give to 15 and 5, although I'm willing to do that, if that makes sense.
It does. It seems like if we only present the public with one map, they really don't have a choice. Is there anything, Vice Mayor, that we can do at this point, since we said we're deferring on voting, to give any kind of guidance to planning so that they can actually give our constituents more than one choice?
Right. So, Councilmember Hauser, there's a motion to defer. That's what the motion is. So, you're discussing a motion to defer. If you want to discuss the different resolutions and different substitutes that are up here, then you're going to have to defeat the motion to defer, because you can't talk about the documents on a motion to defer.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get clarity on. So we defer, we aren't giving planning any direction, and they prepare one map, and the public says yippee or no.
Well, so I'm looking at Ms. Darby, but yeah, this is a motion to defer. If you defer, you haven't given the planning department any recommendations tonight, okay? So let me go to the next person. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Previous question.
Okay, so Councilmember Mendez has moved the previous question. We are on the previous question. Voting on the previous question. All those in favor of the previous question say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, previous question prevails. All right, so we are now voting on the motion to defer to Tuesday, April the 4th. That's a motion to defer this resolution till Tuesday, April the 4th. Correct, Councilmember Pulley? Just making sure I've got it. Okay, it's properly seconded. Voice vote? Roll call. Okay, we're on the board. Okay, the board's ready. Mr. Clerk, open the machines. Everybody in? Councilmember Hancock? Okay. Everybody in? Mr. Clerk, close machines, take the vote. Ayes 29, noes 8. So the motion to defer passes. That's all the business we have for tonight. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Got a motion to adjourn, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn say aye. Opposed, no. We stand adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.